What if Female Deku was Derpy? The last part. The sports festival. Now we start this off with Derpy, of course, as always, is giving them the break as he came in all bandaged up, same as Cannon. As they walk into the halls, as Derpy walks out of the classroom and just bumps into people. Ow! My head. As she looks up and just sees the competition, sees the people at the front door who's going out the competition. As Derpy would simply just fly over them, eating a muffin while she's going down, as she then hits a light before falling down, landing on some purple kid's back. As she would get up and say, sorry, before leaving. As she would leave, as the person looks at her, who's that? Before we cut off to her going, basically to the cafeteria. As she was basically eating some muffins, as then her phone starts to ring. Hello? Hey, this is your brother. Ah, yes, brother? Listen, I'll be watching the sports festival from the news, but unfortunately I won't be able to make it to the sports festival in about 2 weeks. Why is that? Work, unfortunately. But don't worry, I already, if you win, I have a whole truck full of muffins for you. Don't ask how I've convinced my paycheck to even get that amount. As her eyes turn to stars. Really? Yes. Yay! I'm winning that festival. As she now has determination in her eyes. Like she is going to destroy anyone that gets in her way. And this is where I'm just going to skip straight to the sports festival. As the day, as Bakugo gives his little speech. And for comedian's sake, I'm just going to have someone throw an apple at him. As someone threw an apple off stage, hitting Bakugo on the head. As he gets angry and wants to go up there, but gets stopped by the teacher. And gets sent back down. As the first one is a race. I believe the cavalry race. No, the cavalry battle is the second one. But anyway, the race. As Derpy would simply just fly out of there, as she has a flying quirk, it would be easy for her to just fly over all the students that do not have flying abilities. She's just basically moving. As she's already at the first, she's faster than most people, essentially. Now Ida, she about runs fast, as she's up there with Todoroki. But this is where she gains some speed by going around the 0 pointers, as Todoroki has to freeze the 0 pointers. And where most people get delayed. Why, the tightrope area where most of them have to go across. Not Derpy. Derpy just flies across with determination in her eyes, saying, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. As she is moving at her fast as her wings can take her. As she's moving upward. As she's just imagining the muffin truck. As she's starting to drool a little bit. As she remembers to win the race. And this is where she apparently going fast and didn't realize it. She hits a wall. As she falls and lands on a mine. As all she heard is a click. As she looks over. As she just basically gets launched right across the finish line by the mine. As her face is in the ground, as she just simply lifts up a thumbs up. First. As she looks up and just does a little dance. First place. Yeah. And the rest will be about Cannon for that event. Now this one, now, essentially, this is going to be a little bit of a cheese strategy. Because they never mentioned about flying, so technically Derpy doesn't need a team. Essentially. Because that I didn't hear anything in the rulebook saying, hey, any flying quirks canceled? As long as you don't as long as your leader doesn't touch the ground, you win. So She just flew in the air the entire time. Simply got first that way. As now it comes into, well, the 1v1s. And of course, we gotta go with, Shoji? No, not Shoji. The purple hair kid that hypnotizes him. Shinzo. As Derpy come over, is just looking around. As a lot of people don't know what to think about her eyes. As, of course, Shinzo gets on stage. You have very interesting eye colors. As she would simply, respond, why, thank you. As she would get taken under his control. As then, she turns around as he said, step out of the arena. As she's about to step out of the arena, one of the most ridiculous stuff happens. An image of a muffin pops in her head, and the image of the muffin truck just is imagining in her mind, as she simply just turns around and starts walking towards Shoji. I said turn around and leave the arena. As she simply says this as she gets up close. Muffin? And just simply roundhouse kicks him out of the arena. As he just slides back. Did I just get told muffin and then roundhouse kicked? As the teacher's like, yeah, you did. Note, how did you get out of my mind control? As she just repeats muffin, muffin, muffin. Shinzo, I don't think your mind control is off. As he deactivates mind control, as she snaps out of it. Huh? Did I win? As she looks around, as she did win, just everyone in the arena has their jaws dropped of what's just happened. As she's just happy and just flies off. As we just have someone just laughing across the TV screen. Well, that's my sister for you. They didn't stand a chance. Oh, and also, we now get to the Todoroki versus Derpy fight. Now this fight is interrupted. As Derpy was basically dodging all of the attacks, using the air. Note this, there is like an aerial box to make things fair, I believe. For people flying quirks, as long as you're in the vicinity of the, the field, you're still counted in, but if you leave the vicinity, you're out. Now, during the middle of this fight, after a huge attack that would seemingly freeze Derpy a little bit, a whole bunch of villains would appear. Of course, this is all for one making his big plan, playing just to take him down, thinking he has the power, the equipment, just to make the story work a little bit. As essentially Derpy goes into muffin madness as they're ruining, the festival. As All Might comes out and fights All for One. Now we see Derpy absolutely destroying the Nomus. These weaker Nomus are getting tossed around like Derpy, like they're yesterday's paperweight. Alright, let's see what happens. And I'm going to be the personal narrator for this little fight. Okay, we have a Nomu on the left, a Nomu on the right. They're heading towards Derpy. Derpy simply ducks, does a hind leg kick, hitting one in the face, sending it to the wall. As another one throws its left hook right at Derpy's face, as she simply does a spin kick, sending it up in the air, before grabbing it with her wing and slamming it on the ground. Now, it looks like a Nomu with tails seems to come towards Derpy, as she simply just turns to glare at it, as it stops for a moment, as Derpy just moves and sending it through a wall. As then a huge Nomu comes out of the ground, seemingly trying to grab her, as Derpy simply just looks around, gives that silly little face, before just kicking it with both her legs, sending it to the wall. As several more Nomu would try to attack, as she would simply just beat him up. And essentially, All Might would defeat All for One. The League of Villains never got really put together because Shigaraki was in this madness. As we see Shigaraki just watching this, saying, "Kurogiri, get me out of here." As someone familiar appears behind Shigaraki. "You ruined my chance to win a muffin truck." As he would simply just grab Shigaraki's arm. "Time for you to fly." As she grabs his wrist and starts spinning him around before sending him flying, like blasting off again. And of course Hawks and all of them would show up. As Derpy is a little sad. "You're still getting that muffin truck, Derpy." As her frown turns into a smile. "Really?" "Yes. After all, I was going to give it to you either way." "I didn't want you to go into muffin madness here." "Oh, I kind of already did that like a few minutes ago." I just sent a guy flying into about the atmosphere." "You did what?" "Yeah, I should be arriving somewhere." About a few town blocks later, we see Shigaraki landing on a car. As the car alarm starts to go off. Oh! And that pretty much wraps up What If Female Deku Was Derpy. Make sure to like and subscribe. Oh, and also they continued the tournament and Bakugo got the beatdown of his life. The end.